Hello everyone, today I will be reading from Proverbs 1. I will read from both the New King James Version and the NLT. My notes will be coming from the Study Bible, the NLT version. So let's go to Proverbs 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother. For they will be a grateful ornament on your head and chains about your neck. Now the NLT version. These are the Proverbs of Solomon, David's son, king of Israel. Their purpose is to teach people wisdom and discipline, to help them understand the insights of the wise. Their purpose is to teach people to live disciplined and successful lives, to help them do what is right, just, and fair. These Proverbs will give insight to the simple, knowledge and discernment to the young. Let the wise listen to these proverbs and become even wiser. Let those with understanding receive guidance by exploring the meaning of these proverbs and parables, the words of the wise and their riddles. Fear of the Lord is the foundation of true knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. A father's exhortation acquire wisdom. My child, listen when your father corrects you. Don't neglect your mother's instruction. What you learn from them will crown you with grace and be a chain of honor around your neck. Now we move on to the NLT notes. What the book of Psalms is to prayer and devotional life, the book of Proverbs is to everyday life. Proverbs gives practical suggestions for effective living. This book is not just a collection of homey sayings, it contains deep spiritual insights drawn from experience. A proverb is a short, wise, easy to learn saying that challenges us to action. This is a book of common sense based on a biblical worldview. It shows the fruit of a life deeply rooted in a relationship with God. And conversely, it also shows how right actions keeps us connected to God and strengthen our faith in Him. Solomon, the third king of Israel, son of the great King David, reigned during Israel's golden age. When God said He would give him whatever he wanted, Solomon asked for wisdom. You can find this in 1 Kings 3:5-14. God was pleased with this request, and He not only made Solomon wise, but also gave him great riches, power, and an era of peace. Solomon built the glorious temple in Jerusalem and wrote and compiled most of the book of Proverbs. Now going on to verse 6. Riddles were thought-provoking questions that could be used to promote discussion and reflection on important topics. On to verses 7-9. In this present age of information and technology, we have plenty of head knowledge at our fingertips, but true knowledge, what the Bible calls wisdom, is all too scarce. Wisdom means far more than simply knowing a lot. It requires a basic mindset that affects every aspect of life. This mindset is characterized by an eager desire to learn from God, from experience, and from others. The foundation of true knowledge, or wisdom, is to fear the Lord, which means to revere, honor, and respect Him, to live in awe of His power, and to obey His word. Doing so will affect your identity, your attitudes, your actions, and your future. Keep drawing close to God. Learn who He is, why He created this world, and what He wants you to know. Then you will be truly wise. Now, a little more on verse 7. One of the most annoying types of people is the know-it-all. The person who has a dogmatic opinion about everything, is closed to anything new, resents discipline, and refuses to learn. Solomon calls this kind of person a fool. Don't be a know-it-all. Instead, be open to the advice of others, especially those who know you well and can give you valuable insight and counsel. Discover what others have to teach you. Learn how to learn from others. Remember, only God knows it all. Now on to the notes from verses 8. Actions do indeed speak louder than our words. This is especially true in the family. Children learn values, morals, and priorities by observing how their parents act and react every day. How they understand the world is shaped by how their parents go about their daily living. If parents and grandparents exhibit a deep reverence for and dependence on God, children will catch these attitudes. If you have children in your care, let them see your respect for God. Be an example of godly living by praying, worshiping, and reading the Bible with them and with others. Make sure they see how you act out your faith in a way that's consistent with God's word. Proverbs places the responsibility for raising children to become wise adults squarely on fathers and mothers. Parents must bring their children up to honor God and know His word. If you are a parent, rely on God for help every day. Read the Bible and seek wise Christian counsel on how to discipline your children. If you are living at a home with your parents or parent, ask God to teach you through them. So now let's move on to verses 10 through 20. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, but they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own life. So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. Wisdom calls aloud outside. She raises her voice in the open squares. Onto the NLT version. My child, if sinners entice you, turn your back on them. They may say, come and join us. Let's hide and kill someone. Just for fun. Let's ambush the innocent. Let's swallow them alive like the grave. Let's swallow them whole like those who go down to the pit of death. Think of the great things we'll get. We'll fill our houses with all the stuff we take. Come, throw in your lot with us. We'll all share the loot. My child, don't go along with them. Stay far away from their paths. They rush to commit evil deeds. They hurry to commit murder. If a bird sees a trap being set, it knows to stay away. But these people set an ambush for themselves. They are trying to get themselves killed. Such is the fate of all who are greedy for money. It robs them of life. Wisdom shouts in the street. She cries out in the public square. These are the notes from 10 through 19. Sin can often be enticing because it cloaks itself in the disguises of fun, pleasure, happiness, riches, comfort, popularity, and fame. Sin convinces us that we deserve these things at any cost. When we refuse to listen to and live by God's truth, our appetites become our masters, and we'll do anything to satisfy them. Sin, even when attractive, is deadly. We must learn to make choices not on the basis of flashy appeal or short-range pleasure, but in view of the long-range effects. Wisdom for this is clearly outlined in God's word. Sometimes this will mean steering clear of people who want to draw us into activities that we know are sinful. We can't be friendly with sin and expect to remain unaffected. So go ahead and enjoy the life God has given you, but enjoy it within the boundaries articulated in His word. Eventually, sin will always lead to devastating consequences. Being greedy for money is one of Satan's surest traps. He sets the bait when he plants the suggestion in our minds that we can't live without something. Then the desire for it fans its own fire until it becomes an all-consuming obsession as we move closer and closer to getting it, oblivious of the trap where it rests. Ask God for wisdom to recognize any greedy desire before it closes around you and it won't let you go. If that happens, it is exceedingly difficult to get free. If you daily seek God's wisdom, you will have more discerning eyes to recognize and avoid the traps in front of you. The picture of wisdom Calling aloud in the streets is personification, a literary device used to make wisdom come alive for us, speaking and acting as if it were a real person. Wisdom is not a separate being. It is the mind of God revealed. One way to seek wisdom in action is to read the stories about Jesus in the Gospels, the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. When Jesus, the Son of God, lived a human life on earth, he lived it perfectly. He is the perfect model for what wisdom in action looks like. So to understand how to become wise, we should listen to wisdom calling and instructing us in the books of Proverbs, and study wisdom in action in the life of Jesus. For a New Testament call to wisdom, see James 1:5. Now let's move on to verses 21 through 30. She cries out in the chief concourses, at the openings of the gates in the city. She speaks her words. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? For scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn at my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. I will make my words known to you, because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no one regarded, because you disdained all my counsel and would have none of my rebuke. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terror comes. When your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would have none of my counsel and despised my every rebuke. Now on to NLT. She calls to the crowds along the main street, to those gathered in front of the city gate. How long, you simpletons, will you insist on being simple-minded? How long will you mockers relish your mocking? How long will you fools hate knowledge? Come and listen to my counsel. I'll share my heart with you and make you wise. I called you so often, but you wouldn't come. I reached out to you, but you paid no attention. You ignored my advice and rejected the correction I offered. So I will laugh when you are in trouble. I will mock you when disaster overtakes you. When calamity overtakes you like a storm, when disaster engulfs you like a cyclone, and anguish and distress overwhelm you. When they cry for help, I will not answer. Though they anxiously search for me, they will not find me. For they hated knowledge and chose not to fear the Lord. They rejected my advice and paid no attention when I corrected them. Now on to the NLT notes. In the book of Proverbs, those who are simple or fools do not have a mental deficiency, but a character deficiency. Foolish people are not dumb or stupid, but they are naive to God's way of living and unable or unwilling to tell right from wrong or good from bad. God gladly pours out his heart and makes known his thoughts to us. To receive his words, however, we must be willing to listen. Not paying attention to God, refusing to listen to him, ignoring his advice, and rejecting his correction are all evidence of pride. Pride is thinking more highly of your own ideas and courses of action than God's. If we think that we know better than God, or that we have no need of his direction, we are showing that foolish pride has a grip on our hearts. And pride is so dangerous because it hardens our hearts against the only one who can help us see what is really true and help us live in a way that is truly free. And now let's go ahead and continue from verses 31. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their own way, and be filled to the full with their own fancies. For the turning away of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will dwell safely, and will be secure without fear of evil. Onto NLT. Therefore they must eat the bitter fruit of living their own way, choking on their own schemes. For simpletons turn away from me to death. Fools are destroyed by their own complacency, but all who listen to me will live in peace, untroubled by fear of harm. Onto the notes. Many proverbs point out the consequences people experience, the bitter fruits, for the destructive choices they make. Faced with either choosing God's wisdom or persisting in rebellious independence, many decide to go it alone. The problems such people create for themselves will destroy them. Don't ignore God's advice, even if it is painful for the present. It will keep you from greater pain in the future. Well, we've completed the first chapter of Proverbs. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you would like to hear more content like this, please feel free. I encourage you to follow my channel. I will return soon with chapter 2. God bless.